Hello, YouTube. Welcome to episode 37 of Connection Over Coffee with me, the Loneliness Guy. I'm Phil McAuliffe. I'm the Loneliness Guy. You're about to hear the intro to the episode, episode 37 of this podcast. And if you were listening to this on the podcast, you'd be hearing a request from me that if you enjoy and get something from it, from this episode, it'd be great to get a photo of you enjoying a coffee that I could share on my socials. Basically, the idea is to build a sense of community, because this is something, listening to a podcast or watching the video on YouTube is generally something that we do alone. And that's fine, that's okay. And if you're watching in a group, hi everyone. But generally we watch these alone, and creating a sense of community, even though we're doing this by watching YouTube on our phone, on a desktop, on an iPad, or however you're watching this, knowing that you're not alone as you're actually alone in watching this is incredibly powerful. So if you're up for it, I'd love for you to send me a photo of you enjoying a cup of coffee, and I'll then send it on my socials. So reach out to me on my socials on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, here on YouTube, or you can email it to me. There's an email link on the episode description here. All right, awesome to have you here. Let's get into it, hey? Hey, welcome to Connection Over Coffee with me, Phil McAuliffe, the Loneliness Guy. In this episode, we're talking about letting it happen and how that's the theme for 2022. But before we go on and get into this episode, I need to say that this podcast contains content relating to the physical, mental, and emotional well-being of gay men. If that's going to offend you or anyone in earshot, now's the time for you to move on. And I also wish to acknowledge the Ngunnawal people as the traditional custodians of this land upon which this episode was recorded, edited, and uploaded. I wish to acknowledge and respect elders past, present, and emerging, and the Ngunnawal people's continuing culture and contribution they make to the life of Canberra and the surrounding region. I'd also like to acknowledge and welcome other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who may be listening or watching this episode. Now that you're here, how about you go get us a seat and listen to a short ad from my friend Mike Campbell on your way to getting the table, and I'll go get us a coffee. I'll see you shortly. Sorry, it is always the way. You get a frog in your throat as soon as I get a frog in my throat as soon as I start recording these things. So very inconvenient, right? All right, so if you're listening to the podcast now, you would be hearing an ad from my friend Mike Campbell, with whom I do some coaching work on his awesome products, the Everyday Legends Academy, the Development Academy, and I run a program for him for those who have finished both of those or one or those programs. For kind of the graduates, and I also do coaching work for I did the program in 2016, 2017, completely changed my life. Without that program, without Mike's awesomeness, without his love and, you can do hard things attitude, I wouldn't be doing this today. Fully recommend it. Reach out to me if you want, but there'll be a link in the episode description for Mike's awesome work. All right. Here you go. Welcome to episode 37 of the Connection Over Coffee with the Loneliness Guy podcast. If you're returning for another coffee with me, welcome back. It's simply wonderful to have you have you here and to have another coffee with you again. If this is the first time you've connected with me over coffee, I want to say hi and let you know how proud I am of you. I know that the thoughts and feelings of loneliness are simply horrible, and the mere act of pressing play to listen to a podcast or to watch on YouTube may have had you wrestling with those uncomfortable thoughts and feelings, and they're pretty awful. So I'm proud of you. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the theme for 2022, and it harks back to harks, what a word. It harks back to the podcast blog post that I published on the lonelinessguy.com last Thursday. So Thursday the 3rd, 2nd. Let me check. That's terrible. 2nd of February. Oh God, it wasn't. It was the 3rd of February. Oh my, this is going well, isn't it? So the 3rd of February, Thursday, the 3rd of February, called Let It Happen. And that episode was all about that podcast. What the hell? That blog post. Yeah, oh God, I really need coffee, don't I, listener? Terrible. That blog post was all about how I am going to be approaching 2022 and with the theme of letting it happen. Now, that content was how sort of moving beyond 2022, which was all about our year of authentic connection. And in that year of authentic connection, we learned about how important setting intentions are, particularly around when we are wanting to move beyond our loneliness towards authentic connection. But we can't just kind of wait and hope and wish and pray or whatever it is that we do. We actually need to set intentions that prioritize doing connection and then actually do connection. And that's really scary. But if you've done it, you will understand the power that can come from the setting of intentions and then asking for help, support, and accountability for you to then actually do the connection. Like the whole idea is that it breaks things up. Like what if I was to say to you that, you know, the answer to loneliness, the cure for loneliness is all about doing authentic connection. That sounds great. It's very simple, but when you actually get closer to doing it, it's like trying to climb a cliff. And the way to climb a cliff, the way to eat an elephant is bit by bit. And so intentions break things down bit by bit. And what was, you know, what does feel like an insurmountable mountain in front of us actually just becomes a series of small steps that get us there. The setting of intentions are incredibly powerful. And in the blog post that I did on Thursday, the 3rd of February, I remember the date now, it was all about how I set intentions and use intentions to both do connection and to prioritize things in my life that are important. And in that, I said, you know, the power of a setting of intention is kind of like inputting the course in Google Maps or a GPS or an Apple Maps or whatever your map app is, typing in the address. That's the destination that you want to go to. And then that's the goal. And then the setting of intentions is kind of like the directions to get there and how you want to get to that point. And so I shared in that blog post some of the intentions that typically are part of my week. I set my intentions every week And because it just feels a bit easier than like a daily intention, because that can be a bit stressful for me. It feels a bit more immediate than a monthly intention, and it certainly feels a lot more achievable than setting annual intentions. So I generally set mine every week, write them in my diary, like on my calendar. And so I get a ready visual of those through the week. And typically they're things like, prioritizing sleep. So one of mine is to average 7 hours of sleep every night over the week. So that means, some nights I might get like 6.5 hours sleep. Some nights I might get, I don't know, like 7 hours, 10 minutes sleep or something like that. But over the week, it just means that I step away from doing whatever I'm doing, wind down in the evening, and then get to bed. So the TV goes off, social media gets shut down, and I actually wind down, and that's prioritizing sleep for me. And also on top of that, there's other things that I call nailing the basics, which is, making sure that I eat like through the day. I get really distracted. I get really focused on what I'm doing, and I tend to put myself last in all of this. So I don't know if this will resonate with you, but sometimes, like, you go, oh, okay, I need to go to the toilet. Like, deeply, deeply personally, like I need to go to the toilet. And then, suddenly something bright, shiny, or phone call comes in at work or something like that. And then you find yourself 40 minutes later wrapping up that phone call, and you're like, oh, I really need to go to the toilet. Why didn't that happen earlier? And then off you go, like, racing along. And that's not for me anymore. That's not for me anymore. I need to make sure that, I'm nailing the basics, that there's everything else comes after, eating, sleeping, drinking, making sure that I'm well hydrated. It comes after, enjoying sex. It comes after, like doing some chores around the house, that comes like the basic stuff of life. That all then comes after that the basics are covered, and then no matter what happens in my day, I'm fed, I'm watered, I feel, physically connected, whatever it is. And yeah, it is pretty sad that, sometimes I need to, remind myself that I need to take shit. But I'm sure this resonates with so many of you that, you get sort of stuck, and, in your head, and you forget that, you're also, a physical being as well. Anyway, so that's what I do. I set those intentions. But then over New Year, so over, January, I took a break and spent time with the family over Christmas and New Year. It was awesome. Traveled down to Melbourne and had some time, and deliberately took some time away from blogging and podcasting and generating content, new content here at the Loneliness Guy. And it was a break that I really needed. And I'm not at all feeling guilty at all for taking it. But I've come back with so many ideas for content after watching things around me, after observing, listening to, and engaging with some of you on social media about what was coming up for you in 2022. And so I've been planning a whole lot of content. I've been sort of thinking and plotting and planning my year ahead. And as 2021 clicked over to 2022, there's, all that stuff on social media and in the media about, setting New Year's intentions. And, here, at least on Australian TV, there's like ads all the time for quit smoking aids and, weight loss commercials, services for weight loss, ads for weight loss services is what I'm trying to say there. And, you know, home delivery, you know, like healthy meals, home delivered, you know, subscription services and things like that. And like you, I was, you know, thinking, what's 2022 going to be? What are my, what are my New Year's resolutions? And, you know, I'm not a huge fan of New Year's resolutions, but I am a huge fan of setting intentions because I know the power of them. And learning from 2021 here at the Loneliness Guy, which was the year of authentic connection and prioritizing authentic connection, the theme for 2022 kind of came to me. And it came to me during a coaching call on one of the groups that I do coaching for part of Mike Campbell's Everyday Legends Academy program. And this was a call, you know, in the first week of January, and it was, these calls are amazing. They're such a privilege and an honor to listen to men actually kind of wrestle with things within themselves and work themselves out, perhaps for the first time ever in this way. And I was listening to a powerful share from a man who, you know, knew that, you know, there had been things going on previously in his life, but he was sitting and thinking really hard about and trying to find the key in words that would unlock that part of himself that would help things make sense. He was really working hard to make an insight. And for those of you who have ever done any work within yourself, you'll realize, you'll know the feeling, that frustration of when you actually find that part of yourself that, you know, that can't be forced. That can't be forced. Sometimes we need to sit back and kind of let our subconscious work on it, let our heart feel it or something, and let it happen. Let it happen. Let the wisdom happen. And that wisdom, that awareness can't be forced, can't be, you know, doesn't respect deadlines. And so in listening to him and acknowledging his frustration, I found myself with the words "Let It Happen" and the Tame Impala song, the Australian band Tame Impala. It's their song called "Let It Happen" in my head, and said the words that, you know, sometimes we just need to trust and let things happen. And as I was saying that, if anyone's sort of done coaching, or you know, you realize that there's that moment where you're saying things, but it doesn't, like, you realize that you're not actually doing it yourself. And at that point, I was at a crossroads because I was saying, yeah, it's important to let it happen, but I'd actually been forcing things to happen, and generally here on the Loneliness Guy, you know, I've got bold plans. I've got bold plans for the future and what I want to do here at the Loneliness Guy. But one of the things that I do is plan, and I love a good plan. And I would put that plan into action and you know, make things happen. But I would become devoted to the plan. And if one of you would reach out to me, or someone, you know, would reach out to me in some kind of capacity, that's very vague, but bear with me. I would like, I would refuse the advice, or not necessarily refuse the advice, but I would like downplay the advice, or you know, the suggestion or whatever it is that was being offered for me. I would refuse it. And Sometimes those refusals were pretty easy because they didn't align with who I am as a person, and you know, they went against my values. That was an easy no, and that always needs to be an easy no. But I would find myself like, you know, when someone would offer me, you know, a piece of advice or otherwise, I would find myself saying, no, thank you. Because if the advice was given wasn't done in the way that I would have done it, then it wasn't going, pardon me, it wasn't going to work. And I would refuse it and then do it myself. And there was, you know, other times when yeah, there was a few times through that through 2021 and 2020 over the last 2 years that I've been doing the work here at the Loneliness Guy, where that sort of would happen. Opportunities would come up, but I'd be sort of saying yes, but no. And I got curious. I got curious about that, and I wanted to find out where that came from, and what effect it had on me. And I'm going to dig into that in the second half of this episode, right after this short break. So YouTube, if you are listening to the podcast, you'd be hearing me talk about the bold plans that I have for my work at the Loneliness Guy. And I do have bold plans for the future of my work here at the Loneliness Guy to help you, where you are in the world, to learn about how to authentically connect, how to move beyond your loneliness and connect authentically with yourself, those who are most important to you, and to your communities. If you're interested in finding out what that actually means, there's a link in the episode description, and it's the invest in the future of the Loneliness Guy. If you're interested, go and check that out. If you've got any questions, or when you do have some questions, reach out to me. I'd just love to have a chat and see how you and find out how you're interested in helping me grow the Loneliness Guy into the service that I know the gay communities around the world need. So thank you, and let's keep on with the episode. Welcome back. So when I was sort of thinking about where this came from, there's a couple of things there. One is sort of at a broader level. So I'm an Australian guy, and to be an Australian guy, it feels like that you have to have all of your shit sorted. Like, you have to know what's going on, how to do it. Like, if there's a problem in life, you've got a solution for it. And if you don't have a solution for it, you keep quiet until you have the solution for it within yourself. Absolutely the last possible thing you ever do is ask for help. But if you're asked for help, the definition of mateship, of friendship, of actually, you know, being a good bloke is to like go like all in on providing the help. And there's an irony there if you stop it to think about it. Everyone's ready to help, but nobody asks for help. So, you know, if you're here in Australia, you know, but I'm sure this applies globally. If you know someone who has taken their own life, tragically taken their own life, and tragically, you know, he's taken his own life. How many times have we heard, or indeed said, if only they had reached out? Sometimes we do everything. We do everything, including something that, you know, is extremely regrettable. And, you know, we make a decision, we do an action that we can't come back from. We do that before asking for help. Not only, so, when I say that, it takes a lot of courage to ask for help, that's where that comes from. And when I say that it takes courage to engage with thoughts and feelings of loneliness by pressing play on a podcast or pressing play on a video on YouTube, that's what I'm talking about. It's a step. It's a first step on getting the help that you need to move beyond your loneliness. That's where that comes from. And it takes an enormous amount of courage because, even like entertaining thoughts of taking our own lives is, for some, tragically, more like preferred than asking for help. Or we ask for help, but we're not actually that good at asking for help, and people only see the signs of asking for help, kind of in hindsight. So as an Australian guy, it feels kind of culturally, society says that we need to essentially have all of our shit together and be available for everybody who needs our help and provide that help with a smile on our face and a whistle on our lips. But we're not allowed to ask for help, because to do that is, not to be, man enough. Overlay all of that, with sexuality, overlay that with, how we grew up within our family. And we've kind of got, within each of us, we've kind of got this sort of unique mixture of factors that have shaped and molded us, that we've taken up as beliefs within ourselves. And for me, one of the beliefs that I'd made about myself was that I am the helper, not the helped. And that, I do still take great pride in providing help through this, through the Loneliness Guy, through the Lonely Diplomat, through coaching, through, being, a parent, a partner, whatever, like all of my roles in life, that I'm the helper. But when it comes to accepting help, when it comes to asking for help and then accepting the help that's provided, I struggle. I struggle because I don't feel that I'm worthy of the same love and receiving the same love and attention that I so freely give to others. And that was a really powerful realization. It was uncomfortable. It wasn't comfortable at all. And I realized that there's beliefs that I have about myself that have pinned an awful lot of my identity in the notion that I am the helper, not the helped. And I say this to myself kindly and lovingly, but what crap? What crap? Of course I am. In saying it out loud, of course I am. And of course you are too. But that's such a deeply held kind of, a puppeteer kind of belief. Like, it's like, in the background, but it's kind of controls so many things in how I respond to the world around me, that it takes a bit of work to shine a light on it. And so when I'm giving the advice of like, let it happen, for me, that's actually a huge step to let it happen. And after sort of realizing that, I realized that I have been missing chances to connect. So the Loneliness Guy has in himself been refusing people's offers of help, and not only offers of help, but like actions of help because I don't believe that I'm worthy of that. And also that I, in refusing those, hopefully politely, but in refusing those, I've been denying beautiful chances of connection. Because connection requires us to be vulnerable. And I still struggle within myself to be vulnerable. And then, put my request out into the world with vulnerability, and then receive what comes back. So asking for help for me is enormous. And, I've been asking for help a little bit over the last few episodes here on the Loneliness Guy. And I'm going to say that, that actually does for me take a lot of effort, because I don't want to inconvenience you. I don't want to, make you feel uncomfortable. So that's something that I'm working through. And for 2022, it seems like a great thing for letting it happen. Now, this episode's gone on for far longer than I intended to, but I wanted to let you know that if you are thinking similar, and you have similar life experiences where you have attached yourself to a belief that you are the helper, but struggle to receive help, struggle to ask for and then receive help, you're not alone. I'm right here working through that. And letting it happen is, for me, just sort of resonates within me for 2022 about putting things out there, putting the requests for help out there, putting the requests for connection out there, putting this content, the blog content, the podcast content out there, creating the environment for you to step up and to step in and to engage with me, and then letting it happen and remaining open to it. And I say this because one of the things that did occur to me is that, as gay men, there are tops, there are bottoms, there are those who provide and those who receive, and I'm saying sexually here. And, if you are a bottom, that there's, when you're learning, it actually is very difficult to relax and accept what's provided. However, once you know how to accept what's provided, once you relax, what then can happen is amazing, mind-blowing, and it feels like the universe is sort of through you, and you're sort of taken to sort of another place, another level, and it's amazing. But that comes from accepting what's being provided and relaxing and being in the moment. And that is what I intend to do through 2022, across a whole range of things in life. And I wonder if that's something that resonates with you too, because I'm excited. I'm excited about the connection that can happen from that, the emotional, the mental connection that can happen from that, as well as the physical connection of getting to meet some of you in person over 2022. Anyway, that's all for this episode. There's a bit more to all of that, including a link to Tame Impala's "Let It Happen" song. If you don't know it, there's a a link to the YouTube video in the blog post. The blog post link itself is going to be in the episode description. So go check it out, go read it, and let me know if it resonates with you. So that's it for this episode. Remember that there's a whole heap more content on my site, thelonelinessguy.com, that's designed to help you learn from your loneliness and to destigmatize loneliness and promote authentic connection for gay men just like you globally. Remember, you won't want to miss any of my content you won't miss any of my content if you join the mailing list. Joining the mailing list is free, and you'll receive only one email each week from me letting you know that there's new content being uploaded to thelonelinessguy.com. Or for something more interactive with me and others, how about joining me and a wonderful group of other gay men learning from their loneliness and are supporting each other as we do connection, and they're all paid members of a premium members lounge on Facebook. And so for $9.95 Australian dollars per month, after one free, like the first month is free, you can come and join us for monthly Zoom calls and exclusive insights into the work that I do here on the lonelinessguy.com, and providing help and support for each other as we do connection in the world. If you're interested in joining either the mailing list or the exclusive Facebook group for premium members, follow the Join the Community link in the episode description. If you got something from this episode, why not buy me a coffee to say thanks? There's a PayPal link in the episode description, and that will send me $5 Australian if you go through that link. And any money received from your contribution through PayPal goes into me continuing this work, and it's always appreciated. If you've got a question for me or any feedback, reach out to me on socials or send me an email to connect@thelonelinessguy.com. Remember, this is social media, so remember to like, comment, rate, and share this episode. It helps others know in your social circle who may be quietly experiencing loneliness. It helps them know that they're not alone, and it helps me and this work out too. I also understand that those who share content relating to the destigmatization of loneliness and promoting authentic connection for gay men globally make for better lovers. Prove me wrong. I really appreciate you joining me for coffee today. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and prioritize you doing connection. I'll see you later.